few opening comments and then we'll take questions.
Thanks for joining us. Obviously, with the recruiting calendar changing, today feels a little different than it has in the past, but still really an important day for us. Adding 3 players to our roster that built on the initial group we signed in December. So we're a total of 21 in this class, 9 offense, 9 defense, a couple athletes, and 1 special team specialist. One of the neat things, you look back at the class and kind of do the quality control, but 18 out of the 21 guys have 3.0 GPAs or higher, which is a big deal. And these guys are good football players, and they got the chance to develop on the football field, but the fact that they're proving it in the classroom, and that's important to us. It's important to Cal, and so we're proud of that. We got to continue to build on that. We will have a couple scholarships in our pocket, moving forward. So there's still the possibility of adding some guys to the roster in the spring and into the summer. We also have some guys on our team who have done an excellent job that could be rewarded as we go through spring football. So that feels good. And kind of touching on some of the things we talked about in December, we have 16 guys out of the 21 that played their high school football in California. And being local, obviously the Bay Area with the Northern California, I guess you could say 8 guys, and then 16 in California. And there's a lot of reasons that's important, but 15 of the guys have won titles in some way, shape, or form. A lot of multi-sport athletes, which we like, and I know it's become more and more specialized, and there's a lot of pressure for kids in high school these days to specialize. I don't think it helps them in the long run. Maybe in the short term it can benefit them because they can refine a certain skill, but in the long run, the multi-sport athletes, in my opinion, our opinion, have a better chance to develop. And we got about 12 guys that were multi-sport athletes. The other thing I want to hit on, and I can't really discuss names, but we have an excellent group of walk-ons that are coming, and I think that's something we focused on early on when we got here, is developing a really good walk-on program, and they're important for a lot of reasons, and you get some of your team can be built on some of those guys, and we have a number of guys who are committed to walking on here, and guys that have turned down Division I scholarships, and they want the education, they want the competition on the football field, and really excited about that group as well. So with that, we can go ahead and open it up for questions.
You said this right off the bat, and I don't know how fair it is in the first year, but what did you think of kind of this new process of having the December early period and coming through today?
I really like it. I think for us it's good for a few reasons. Our location, first and foremost, our footprint in terms of being where we are located. Not to say we won't obviously go out of state, which we've done, but the early signing day defines the word commitment, which is a good thing, and it also defines what it means to offer somebody a scholarship. So we're in favor of it.
Also helps you don't have to secure those 18 guys. You don't have to worry about them. In McAllen Castle's out of the 4-star. You don't have to worry about somebody coming and trying to poach him down the stretch.
Yeah, the recruiting calendar has moved up so far. Kids are taking visits in spring and summer and getting the information they need to make a decision a lot earlier than they used to, and so I think it just makes sense in a lot of ways for the student athlete and for the schools.
So you guys have tended to emphasize later visits after the season's over to spend more time with the guys in December or January. With the early signing period really rolling the second year and guys, like you talked about, committing earlier, how do you plan to adjust things like maybe spring practice visits, summer visits, fall camp visits, things like that?
Yeah, those are ongoing discussions, and there's going to be circumstances where we would potentially use the ability to have an early visit. But for the most part, when you look at the guys that are in our class, they were up here more than once, not just the official visit. They were here unofficial, a lot of them up to 3 times maybe more. And so during that process, they're getting the information like you would on an official visit. So it really will be specific to the individual and where they come from. But it's something, we didn't feel like this year not having early visits hurt us, if that answers your question.
You have a lot of multi-sport athletes, some two-way players on football too. What do you like about guys who have shown different skills and different abilities?
Yeah, it just helps them develop in the long run. You know, I think playing both ways, you know, offense and defensive line, for example, or running back and linebacker, or receiver and DB, you know, I think it's just the skills you develop and the football IQ as well. And then the other sports, there's just certain things you do playing basketball or even baseball, or now lacrosse is big, where you're just, you know, the dexterity, the hand-eye coordination, and all these things that I think when you specialize as a tackle, for example, that you might miss out on some of those things when you're young. And you know, I understand why people do it, but I don't necessarily think that it always helps the kid in the long run.
One of those guys who plays multiple sports and plays both ways is Monroe Young, who you guys brought in. How does his, I believe you're bringing him in as an athlete, how does his skill set kind of fit in? Yeah,
I think Monroe's a really talented guy. I think, you know, being in Las Cruces probably didn't get as much attention, you know, recruiting-wise, for whatever reason, but you go watch him play. I mean, he's got verified speed, and he's a physical guy. I think he has a chance to play safety, a chance to play receiver. That'll be determined. And then one of the most impressive things you see him do is play basketball, and during warm-ups or before practice, when that guy is explosive. And so when you see him do that, I don't care who he's playing against, when you know, standing under the basket and jump up and jam it with 2 feet like it was nothing, you know, it's pretty impressive. So I think those things showed up. He's a competitor, and he wants the ball on offense, and he wants to make the tackle on defense, and comes from a great family, takes school very serious. He knows what he wants, and he'll have to develop when he gets here, but we're excited about him.
One of the things you talked about last time was you want just football players, and you have a bunch of these guys that are just pure football players. Is that going to be a continued emphasis, just let God sort them out in the end?
You mean in terms of their positions?
Yeah,
we have a good idea. You know, there's a lot of guys, like I said, that have played both ways, but we have, you know, there's certain skills you're looking for. There'll be a couple guys, you know, Monroe, Evan Tattersall, who we think could be an inside linebacker. He probably has the potential to be a type of running back or an H-back as well. But we'll make that determination when they get here, and that's a good thing. And so most everybody else, we know where they're playing, but I think it's you want guys that have done a little more. I think it helps your football team.
What stands out to you about the 2 linebackers you're adding to the group today?
Yeah, Chris Fatalua, a very instinctive guy. You watch him play, and it's really natural for him to play linebacker. You know, he sees things really well at that position. He's a good finisher. He's got good size. He's actually lost weight from his junior year, and which is a little unique in high school. He lost quite a bit of weight from his junior to senior year, and it showed up on tape. But he's a very quick. He loves the game. I mean, he loves to play, and you see that. Kind of a quiet guy, but man, when the lights come on, you know, he's ready to hit anybody. And but the number one thing that I think stuck out about Chris is just the instincts for the game, and at that position, that's really, really important. Joseph Logan Banjo is an extremely explosive athlete, and he is another guy that's a 2-sport athlete, but he is really, in terms of when we look at outside linebackers, the skill set we're looking for and the ability to develop at that position, we're really excited about him there. A guy that has the potential to be able to rush the passer, can do some things in coverage, but again, really explosive, dynamic athlete. And you watch him play basketball, and it's the windmill dunks, and I mean, he's a talented guy. Now, again, he's got to learn and grow at his position, but really excited about him. And another guy who is very strong in the classroom, knows what he wants, very disciplined guy, and So, again, fits in with what we're looking for.
Media reminder just to ask for the microphone so we can get your question on video.
I don't know if this feels this way. Does it feel like your first recruiting class here a little bit? I know that you had a little bit of time to help out with last year's, but does this feel like your first full class in any way?
Maybe just because you get to know them a little more than last year, just because of the time. But I mean, as soon as we got here, it's our team. And the guys that were on the team, seniors, all the way through the recruits, and so I don't necessarily feel different that way. But you have more time in identifying what's important for us in terms of positions and the actual positions of the players, but also the profile, what kind of guys we're looking for. So,
with the recent trend of a lot of fifth-year players transferring out, it's sort of flipped the script a little bit with how early you want to play true freshmen. What's your philosophy with this incoming class? Ideally, what kind of numbers would you like to see hit the field, or can you even quantify something like that?
it's a tough question to answer. It's a good question, but it's a tough one to answer. We expect all of them to prepare like they're going to play the first game, and we'll sort it out when the time is right. Whether that's the week before our opener, or maybe it's before that, or maybe it's after. It might be 3 weeks into the season, but we want all those guys, mentally preparing, emotionally, physically, all those things to get ready to play the opener. And we're not, the grad transfer thing, I know it's become more and more prevalent, but it's not something that's scaring us away from playing a freshman.
Talking with Banjo over the course of the last quartile of his recruitment, he was really jazzed about Coach Sermon. And obviously, you have a very long relationship with him. How is he able to impact this class come in at the tail end?
Yeah, for a short amount of time, he had a huge impact. Just the relationships he could build with those guys. He's going to help us in a lot of ways. He is on and off the field, and guys play the position and can talk about what it takes to play at the highest level. And I think the kids, you get automatic credibility there. And so when Joseph came out with his family, I think there was a good bond that they developed.
Joseph, there's a proposal out there that allow guys to transfer without sitting out a year if the coach leaves and they aren't following the coach to the school. Do you have an opinion on that, and are you in favor of that?
The proposal for transferring if the coach leaves, yeah, I think there's a lot to be discussed there. That's maybe Pandora's box a little bit if that happens, but there's some obviously reasons that's come up, and to give you, I probably have to think more about it, before I give you a better answer.
You mentioned still having 2 scholarships available. How are you guys approaching that? Is it that walk-on group that you're talking about? Is it current players? How do you go about that?
There's, it could be people that become available and our players, so there's a few different ways that we could utilize those. I always think it's good to have, at least a couple in your pocket, so to speak, because you want to be able to reward guys that earn scholarships. I mean, we could go through our roster, the leading rusher, tight end, fullback, center. We had 6 or 7 that played. I think we had like 1,300 snaps or something total of guys that were walk-ons the year before that played last year. So,
does the stuff that Laird did and those other guys who were getting snaps, does that help with this walk-on group that you're talking about?
Absolutely. If you come in and earn it, which they have to do, they have to earn it. And we wouldn't bring them here if we didn't think they had a chance to do that. But we've proven that you'll be rewarded, and you're not treated any differently. And the expectations for you and everybody else. My goal is that nobody would know the difference, that if you've walked onto the program or not. And those guys have had a huge impact on our team. Garen Brown, he's another one. So I could go. I'm sure I'm missing a couple because there's a lot. But when there's guys turning down Division I scholarships to walk on here, and of course the university has a lot to do with that in the academic profile, and that's a good thing. So it's big to those kids and their families.
when we talked last time, one of the positions that you said you might pick up during this period was a quarterback. How do you feel about not doing that thus far?
Yeah, we didn't want to reach on a quarterback, especially this year because of our current situation at quarterback. And so we'll be targeting quarterback next year. But we're comfortable not taking a quarterback in this class, again, just because of our current situation. So we'll be targeting a quarterback next year.
Okay, guys, anything further for Coach?
All right, go Bears. Thanks.
Thank you.